I'm setting out to be the most inept talk show host of all time.
What makes Eric Andre funny? What makes the Eric Andre Show unique, and what can it teach us about deconstructionist humor? Will I get a copyright strike on this video? Let's find out. Part 1. The Nihilistic Talk Show.
I always dreamed about killing myself on stage.
In a 2012 interview, Kitao Sakurai, co-director of The Eric Andre Show, deliberately refused to call The Eric Andre Show a spoof of other talk shows. Kitao stated, "Spoof implies that we're 100% dependent on the material that other, legitimate talk shows supply, and that we're just living off of that. I think it's more of a deconstruction, an alternate reality talk show rather than a spoof." The type of deconstruction Kitao is talking about here is genre deconstruction. In genre deconstruction, you use the basic conventions and premise of a genre, but you subvert all of the cliches and expected themes of that genre. A great example of genre deconstruction is Deadpool. Deadpool is a deconstructive parody of the superhero subgenre. An expected theme of the superhero story is the conflict between the superhero and the consequences of his or her actions. Deadpool has the same basic conventions and premise as regular superhero stories. Someone with superpowers is still fighting bad guys, but Deadpool deconstructs the genre by introducing a protagonist that doesn't care about the consequences of his actions. When this cliche is subverted, we're left with a story that more closely resembles a comedy. The Eric Andre Show does the exact same thing. It shares the same basic conventions and premise as a regular talk show. According to Andrew Barkalin, co-director of The Eric Andre Show, the set is inspired by Letterman and Johnny Carson. The Eric Andre Show still involves a host interviewing celebrities, and it still comes on late night TV. The cliches, however, are subverted. Here's an example. In a normal talk show, the host laughs to make the guests more comfortable.
Where do you begin?
Well,
In the clip we're about to see, Eric laughs to make the guest uncomfortable.
you're funny, man. Tell us a joke.
All right. So there's two guys who are out in the middle of the desert. One guy gets bit by a snake. Right on the head of his dick.
In a normal talk show, the host is bubbly and cheerful and tries his or her best to make the guests look good,
And you were funny and charming, we talked, it was great.
often sucking up to them. The Eric Andre Show deconstructs this by introducing a host who is a nihilist.
Oh, the Democrats are never violent, like the Black Lives Matter events and attacking the Trump people. I'm not a Democrat either, I'm a nihilist.
According to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, a nihilist believes in nothing, has no loyalties, and has no purpose other than an impulse to destroy. Sound familiar?
I came up with the idea for the show when I was working in New York City. I was temping. I was like 22, 23 years old, and I was doing stand-up comedy at night. And I had a temp job, and I was miserable. And I just thought, how funny would it be if there was a talk show where the talk show host, that was his temp job, and he brought like apathy and indifference to a talk show host position.
When Eric Andre is in character as the host of The Eric Andre Show, he believes in nothing,
What do you think happens after you die? I want to get taxidermied. I saw my teeth and the fangs and put coyote eyes in my eye sockets and be mounted like this at the Smithsonian Museum with a little plaque that says, a talk show host.
has no loyalties, and his interviews have absolutely no purpose outside of Eric destroying things.
I have something actually I want to promote. Can I do that?
All right, it is Velcro time! Velcro time!
And I mean more than just physical destruction. In Eric's best interviews, he doesn't only destroy furniture. Through blatant lies, creative editing, and excessive vulgarity, Eric also destroys his relationships with celebrity guests, as well as the guests' reputations.
John Wayne once said, "I believe in white supremacy until blacks are educated to a point of responsibility." Why did you retweet that?
Now, you said on Twitter, ching chong, go back to your country.
That is a lie. I've never said that.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
The Jews.
Yeah, the Jews.
No,
you heard it here
other way
first.
around, darling, other way around.
Kelly Osbourne said it here first. If you're watching, the Jews.
A common criticism of the Eric Andre show is that it can't possibly keep going. After all, what happens when all the guests are in on the joke? Wouldn't that ruin the gimmick? Well, I want you to close your eyes and imagine you're Jimmy Kimmel. You've already met Eric several times before going on the show, and you're already completely in on the joke. And on top of all of that, your son even interns for the Eric Andre show. Paradoxically, this is where the magic of the show really shines. It turns out, when there's a wet boom mic in your face and your chair is molesting you, it doesn't actually matter if you're in on the joke or not. Part 2. Let's give a quick shout out to Christina Applegate. Part 3. Hannibal. The Eric Andre show simply would not work without Hannibal Buress. The reason is simple. The two form a textbook straight man, funny man pairing. In a straight man, funny man routine, there are two comics that play off of each other. One of the comics always acts in an outrageous, eccentric fashion.
Something every time you come back.
And the other always acts in a calm, controlled manner.
You know?
So dad is reincarnated.
Yeah. Huh?
He reincarnated as all water. My granddad.
That's cool. At least it's wet, you know?
Yeah.
Really quick, I have one request, and that's that you subscribe to the channel. On the last video, over 90% of you guys weren't subscribed, so I'd really appreciate if you could do that. And while you're down there, please also leave a like on the video. You don't want to miss the future episodes, it only takes a couple seconds, and I'm a very, very new channel, so every little engagement goes a long way. Alright, back to the video. The insane chemistry between Eric Andre and Hannibal Buress can be chalked up to the fact that the two comedians, even when not in character, are a natural straight man, funny man routine.
How could we make this video viral?
Oh man, you need some animals. You need a baby farting and laughing about it.
You need
What else?
a little girl rapping Nicki Minaj.
Yep.
You need a newscaster saying Asian names that were sent to them.
On top of their natural chemistry, for the show, both comedians go the extra mile by playing exaggerated versions of themselves. This makes almost anything they do, even when completely improvised, hilarious to watch.
That's why it's really
My
sick.
seat feels like it's alive or something.
Yeah, we got snakes.
With human traits. They got emotions and they cough and they watch TV shows.
When their routine flows smoothly, we often see the following sequence. First, the guest is completely overwhelmed by Eric's energy.
We're off the books.
Okay.
What?
Second, the guest looks to Hannibal for support.
I'm listening.
And third, Hannibal is in the middle of a nonsensical deadpan prop routine.
I'm listening.
You just gotta eat the lettuce. Just straight up eat the lettuce.
Part 4. The pranks. Most prank shows fail for one simple reason. They don't think enough about what makes a prank actually funny. Instead, they just focus on making their prank as shocking as possible. I wanted to put a special focus on Eric's pranks because they showcase something you may not expect from the Eric Andre show. That is, they contain a formula that's evidence of a well thought out, well researched understanding of comedic theory. Those of you who have already seen my video on Norm Macdonald are already familiar with the incongruity theory of humor. The incongruity theory states something is funny when conventions are undermined by an absurd situation. All of Eric's pranks follow this basic formula, which is what makes them so effective. First, they pick a conventional situation or environment, one that people in the audience are already well acquainted with. A subway, restaurant, hot dog stand, having to awkwardly wait for someone to take a picture before you can cross. Second, they think of an absurd situation they could add to undermine that otherwise conventional environment.
That's somebody's birthday? Yeah. $5 for me.
Oh, you thought I wasn't gonna find out?
No.
You know what? This is a bag of my feces.
It's okay.
Beautiful, Taylor. Beautiful.
Sit down.
When you ignore the rules of comedy, you end up with shows like Netflix's Prank Encounters. In Prank Encounters, the victims of the show start out in strange situations, such as being hired to decipher hieroglyphics. When you start off with an unconventional environment, there's nowhere left to go, so the pranks are never funny and just sort of fizzle out. In fact, the funniest parts of the show aren't even intentional.
We have three chances.
When you contrast the two, it's very obvious how much the formula in the Eric Andre show pays off. Although it's unconventional, deconstructionist, and sometimes nihilistic, the Eric Andre show still employs tested and true techniques as old as comedy itself. It's the brilliant use of these techniques in a new context, mixed with the creative interplay of opposites. Straight man and funny man, mayhem and formula, old and new, that make the Eric Andre show so addicting to watch, and so special to its fans, myself included. What do you guys think of the Eric Andre show? Do you like him? Hate him? Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments.